When Ceterea and I first met, it was way back in 3rd grade, and it's kind of an interesting situation.
We went to the same school. We went to Lakeview Academy, which is in Saratoga Springs. But I had been there for about a year, and he skipped a grade. So he ended up skipping 2nd grade and came into my school when I was in 3rd grade.
And for some reason, our parents were like, yeah, let's have them go to the same schools. It was uncoordinated, but we just ended up at the same school. And I started about a week later into 3rd grade. So I was already feeling really behind. And I remember my teacher, I got to the class and my teacher showed me around, and then math time rolled around and she pulled me out of class and had me go to a different teacher's class because I had tested into a higher math class or something. And she was like, hey, this is Mr. Livingston.
He came in, he was in my math class. It was Mr. Livingston's class. And he walked in and they introduced him. And I don't remember a whole ton of what they said about him, but I remember he was this really short, little tiny kid. He was 7. This little kid with a blonde bowl cut and the biggest grin on his face.
I don't know anybody here. I feel all alone. I've never met anybody in the class. And so I sat down and looked around, and one of the first people that I saw was Ceterea. And immediately I was just like, whoa, she's kind of cute. I think I like her.
He's so stinking cute. And we hit it off pretty dang quick. It didn't take a whole lot to become friends. All of the other boys at school were really nasty to me. They were really mean, but Johnny was always really, really sweet. And I mean, you can ask my mom, she even remembers that I would talk about the other boys at school and I was like, they were the worst. All the boys at school suck, but Johnny, he's cool. He's nice to me, he's sweet. And so we hit it off really quick and became really good friends for the rest of that school year and onward.
One of the first things that I noticed about Ceterea when I met her was, I mean, first of all, just she's a cutie. I'm a little biased, but I love her, and she's gorgeous.
He was just so sweet, and you could see it in his eyes. He was so genuine. In everything he said and everything he did, he was always very, very real. And so I remember noticing that, just that kindness that he carried.
It was one thing to see her for the first time. But the first time that I actually talked with her and met her, I noticed immediately just how genuine she is. She's one of the most honest people that I've ever met. She has an opinion and she's willing to share that. And she does a great job of just being herself. She doesn't let what other people think of her impact how she acts, what she chooses. She knows what she wants and she's willing to go after it.
But I do remember that kindness in his eyes. He was just so sweet. And I knew that he was somebody that I was going to want to be around and wanting to be friends with and wanting to have around, because he really did just make me feel good about myself, feel good about the things I was doing and the things that I wanted to do.
I mean, she realized on her mission how much she wanted this and how much she wanted to pursue this relationship, and she wasn't taking no for an answer. And luckily, the thought of no never even crossed my mind. And we're only here today because of how much she cares and how honest she is. And that's one of the most important things to me about who she is as a person.
Lakeview was an interesting experience. It was a charter school. So you're with the same 100 kids from start to finish. And I started in 2nd grade, he started there in 3rd, but we were both there through 9th grade. So by the time that we hit 9th grade, we'd been in everybody's business for far too long, and there were far too few of us for there to have not been any type of casualties.
One of the first things that we did when we first started interacting back in elementary school, it was kind of during that transitionary period of 6th to 7th grade. And once we just started 7th grade and everything, I finally got the guts to tell her. I'd been holding this secret in for 4 years, or so I thought. I thought that no one would notice. I thought that I was too slick with it. She had no idea.
Holy cow, Lakeview was a fever dream. But at the end of the day, it was a huge blessing. If he hadn't transferred schools, I would never have met him. If I hadn't transferred schools, I would not have ever, our paths would never have crossed.
And so we started talking in the hall, and our lockers were a little ways away. So I'd walked over to where she was at. She was just grabbing some books or something for another class that she was headed to. And I dropped the question, thinking that I was so smooth with the ladies. And I told her, or I asked her, I said, hey, I like you, right? And I'm pretty sure that she closed her locker, turned her entire body to face me, and said, "Yeah, I know, you're really bad at hiding things." To which she proceeded to get a boyfriend the next month or something after that. So that was a hard no. Funny story, looking back on it, I was devastated. It was traumatizing, but we're here now.
Technically, our first real date was on his birthday. So it was December 31st of 2022. And we had gone to the Thai house in Lehigh and we got food because I asked him what I could do for his birthday. And he was like, "Let me take you on a date." And so technically our first real date was that. But in my mind, looking back over everything, I consider our first date to be the first night that we hung out again after not seeing each other for a long time.
I just remember my initial impression was like, we're grown up, we're adults now. And we went and got in the car and we drove and we went to the wash and we were there for probably like 4 hours.
And we just caught up. Over the last 4 years, he told me about his mission. I told him about all of the plights with my mission and all of the things.
And we just talked a lot about my mission. I got to open up about just a lot of the experiences that I had and a lot of things that I experienced coming home and what life was like since I got back. And she told me all about what she'd been up to and her frustrations with getting ready for her mission and things just seeming to take forever.
And it was such an emotionally tender conversation. And I distinctly remember noticing how vulnerable he was willing to be with me. We hadn't seen each other in 4 years for more than like a 10-minute interaction where we just crossed paths. We hadn't had a real conversation in years. But I remember sitting there and listening to him talk about his mission and talk about the struggles he was having with coming home early. And I remember him crying. And I remember me crying, and it was so raw. And I remember in that moment and in that conversation realizing that he was somebody that I needed to keep around.
And I just remember thinking to myself, what if? There's no way, but what if? What if things worked out? What if this ends up being something more than it is? And the more I talked with her, the more I spent time with her, and the more I got to know her and who she really is, the harder I fell.
This man that I was getting to know in a completely different light, and I was getting to see him through the lens of his testimony, and I was getting to see him through the lens of his difficulty and his vulnerability and his struggles, and I was getting to see him with this Christ-like love that I hadn't ever experienced before. I was getting to see him the way that I imagine the Savior sees him. And I was getting to see this raw love that he had for the gospel and for his mission and this desire that he had to serve and to become better. And the way that he talked about it was just so precious to me. And it made me want to go and serve my mission. And it gave me a renewed hope. That's what I'm looking for. A renewed hope in what was going on with mine because I was still waiting. And that was so hard. But it made me see just how precious it was. And so in my mind and in my memory, that's our first date, because that's where I started to fall in love with this man that I was getting to know. And I was getting to fall in love with his testimony and that's really, really where my heart was pricked with like, oh wow, this is a man who has a testimony. This is a man who loves his Savior. This is a man who loves the gospel. And I think that was initially when I realized like, this is a man that loves me. And if he loves the gospel this way, I can't even imagine the way that he loves me. And I think that's when I realized that I wanted to love that. I wanted to have that in my life.
As far as the proposal goes, that's quite the story. I'm still in Cedar City at this point. She's up in Rexburg, and both of our parents lived like 5 minutes away from each other in Saratoga Springs. So it's about 3.5 hours each way when we wanted to meet up. And one weekend we'd coordinated, yep, let's go and we'll get together and we'll just have a chill weekend. It'll be nice. I was working that Saturday, so I couldn't leave till Saturday evening. It was closer to Saturday afternoon. I talked to my manager. I'd filled him in. I was like, hey, Jake, I'm gonna go propose to my girlfriend. Can I leave early? Is that okay? And he let me get out like 2 hours early. which was a miracle because that's unheard of in my job. And so I had all these things coordinated. I'd spent like a week prior tracing out letters on these little pink paper bags, just spelling out "Marry Me." And I got all the decorations for all the things. I went and got some pictures, and I just had all the supplies ready to go in the back of my car before I even got to work that morning. And so as soon as I got out of work, I didn't even stop at home. I drove all the way up to Saratoga, and she had gotten there a day before, and she was stressing out because she had all these classes, and she was taking a lot of exams, and a lot of the stuff for that, like the proctoring thing on her laptop, wouldn't work. And so she couldn't take the exams, and she was stressed out of her mind.
So he comes to pick me up. We talk to my parents for a second, and then we go out the door. And we end up, I tell him everything that's going on, and the poor kid was probably so stressed because I was in such a bad mood. And he takes me to dinner. We go and we get sushi, and it was really fun. And over the course of dinner, I was calmed down because just being around him just makes me feel better. And so we're having our dinner. It's great. I'd made this little paper ring out of our straw things, and he kept playing with it. And looking back now, like, he couldn't get through a single sentence. He was stuttering on everything that he was saying, and like the words just weren't making any sense. And he just like, I mean, we both do quite a bit honest anyway, but it was really bad. It was really bad. And so, but it was so fun, and we were both laughing and giggling.
Meanwhile, my dad and my mom were blowing up my phone saying, "Hey, you didn't tell us about this," or "Hey, we just thought of this. Where do you want this?" And so I'm trying to be discreet. I don't want her to know. And which is kind of a miracle looking back on it, but she's stressed about tests, and she's not even thinking about what's going on in the moment. And so we're trying to like relax, we're trying to calm her down and just focus on being in the moment.
And we were like, okay, we're gonna head home. And I was super tired, and so we were like, okay, we're just gonna go home. And we drive down towards our house, and the Saratoga Springs Temple is like right by my house.
And so I text my dad. We came up with a little code, little sign, just like, "Hey, this is when I'm gonna be leaving, so I need you guys to have everything ready to go by then." And so I told him, "Hey Dad, that Vegas roll was amazing." And he texted back and gave me a little thumbs up. He's like, "Okay, perfect, we're ready to go." So we hop in the car, we start driving to the temple, and we're driving up this long road, and my dad texts me as we're turning onto this road, and he says, "Hey, your mom says we need 5 more minutes." And I'm livid. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. We had it all set up, everything was ready to go. And so we start driving up, and I like duck into one of the little side neighborhoods.
And he's like, "Let's just take a turn around the temple." And I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds great. So we're driving up the road.
And we start driving through these neighborhoods on the way up because I'm trying to buy time, and she's just like looking out the window. And so I just start talking about the houses. I'm like, "Oh babe, look at this house."
Like, look at the porch on that house. Like, look at the color of this house. And he like kind of pulls off to the side, and we like sit there and look at these houses for a second. And again, I love the houses, so I wasn't thinking about it at all. I didn't think that was weird. Yeah, right over my head.
She's none the wiser. It's right over her head.
And so we start driving back around, and he like parks on the side of the road next to the temple. We're like looking at the temple, and we're just talking and all these things. And he's like, "Okay, like let's go home." A couple minutes pass by.
My dad texts and says, "Hey, we're good to go." And so they were like running and hiding as we're starting to creep around where the whole setup was.
And as we were driving up the temple road, I've got big plans is the song. I think is what it's called, Big Plans. And the whole song is just talking about like, she has no idea that I've got big plans. Like, I'm gonna make her my wife, I'm gonna propose, all of these things. And it's a song that we've listened to a bunch, so it just...
We're driving past, and we start to get past these little bags and the lights and everything, and she goes, "Oh, look, babe, someone's getting engaged, someone's getting proposed to."
I poke him, and I'm like, "Babe, look, somebody's getting proposed to. Like, that's so cool." And I was like, "Look, somebody's getting engaged. Like, that's really neat." And he's like, "No way, let's go check it out." And he pulls over to go park. And I'm like, "What are you talking about? There's no way we're gonna go. Like, this is somebody else's proposal. We can't go mess in that."
And I was like, "Yeah, we should go check it out. I need some ideas." She's like, "I don't know, that's not a great idea. I don't want to mess up their stuff. I don't want to be there when they're there." And I told her it'd be fine. I said, "We'll just park and we'll check it out real quick."
So he gets out of the car, And he comes around to open my door, and I'm sitting there, and like the gears are starting to turn. And I'm like, either I'm about to be really embarrassed and really disappointed because I'm gonna get excited and think it's for me, but it's not for me, and it is actually just for somebody else, or I'm an idiot and this is for me. And so he opens the car, and I'm sure he could see it on my face.
The gears are starting to turn. She's a little suspicious, but not quite there yet. And so we start to walk up.
And I just start giggling, like I lose it, because I'm like processing. I'm like, this is for you. Like you are the one getting proposed to.
And I'm feeling really good. I'm really anxious. I'm checking my pockets just to make sure I have the ring. And I totally forgot that I gave it to my parents to put in part of the setup. And so I panicked for a second. And then I saw it as we start getting a little bit closer, and I'm like, okay, everything's gonna be fine. The whole setup, it turned out great. It could not have been better. It was perfect.
So we walk up, and there's like all of these pictures and these lights, and there's like a blanket and a big thing of flowers on the bench, and maniacal giggling. Like I couldn't get anything. Like I was doing nothing but laughing. And he was just laughing. And then I started crying because I was so excited, but then I was laughing. And it was just like this giggling with tears streaming down.
And she's looking at the pictures and she's like, oh, I'm the one getting proposed to. And I said her name, got down on one knee, grabbed the ring, and...
He told me that he had been waiting 14 years for this moment. And then he said my whole name. He said, Ceterea Renee Sorensen, will you marry me? He got down on one knee and he proposed. I didn't look at the ring at all in that moment. Like, I think I blacked out. And I hugged him and I was like, yes. And I was crying, and it was just this whole thing. And I wouldn't let go of him.
But she said yes, and I gave her the ring. And we sat there and hugged for a minute or two, and we just start hearing this loud yelling and cheering.
I hear this like cheering from over in the distance, and I think it's somebody coming out of the temple. And he yells, she said yes! And I was like, what is happening? And then I start seeing all of these people come running from the parking lot.
And it's both of our families that were there just hiding, and they walked over and got some pictures and everything, and it was a really special moment. They went back to her parents' house because we were gonna do a little post-engagement party, and we just got to sit there on one of the benches near the temple, just on the temple grounds, and we just got to sit there and soak up the moment and kind of talk about just how wonderful that really was.
And we just sat there in front of the temple there for a minute and just soaked in the moment. But it was just a really sweet night, because that was the first time that our parents had really like interacted with each other a whole ton. And it was perfect. It was private, but my family was there. And it was simple. And he pulled it off without me having any idea. And I am so nosy. It was very impressive that I didn't know what was going on. But it was perfect because it was him and it meant forever. And yeah.
Our wedding day is gonna be really busy. We're gonna be all over the place. We're driving from South Jordan, we're driving all the way down to Provo, we're driving to Saratoga Springs. We're kind of all over, so it's gonna be a long day. But the thing I'm most excited about is just being in the temple with her, kneeling across the altar, being able to say yes to her, that's something that I'm willing to commit to do. That's something that I want for eternity, is to be there with her and to be hers.
I am most excited to be sealed to him, hands down. I'm excited for the reception. I'm excited to do all of the typical things, but more than anything, I'm excited to look him in the eye over the altar, because that's what it's about. We've been going to a lot of live sealings recently with friends and family, and his brother's getting married at the end of the month, and all of these things. And every time we sit in that sealing room together, I'm just reminded of the promises and the blessings that are being given to us. Over the last couple of years of both of our lives, we've both had to sacrifice a lot, and there's been a lot of hardship and difficulty. And even within our relationship, I mean, we've had like 3 months of in-person dating over the last 2 years that we've been together. And it's like there's just been a lot of sacrifice, and we've laid a lot on the altar. But I'm so, so excited to be able to kneel across the altar from him and to hear all of the things that the Lord is promising us, because those are the things that I care about with him. I want to spend eternity with him. I need to spend eternity with him. And it's, yes, I want to have a party. Yes, I want to celebrate. Yes, I'm excited about my dress and to do all of these things. But at the end of the day, I'm most excited to make covenants that connect me to him forever.
I'd say the thing that I'm most nervous about on the wedding day is just getting everybody there. Our families are kind of all over the place, and we really want as many people to be there as we can. We're also doing the wedding on a Wednesday, and the biggest reason for that is just because of it's her grandparents' anniversary, and we both owe a lot to her grandma just because her grandmother was a convert to the church, and the chances of her being raised in the gospel were slim if her grandma wasn't the one to join the church. And so the fact that we can get sealed and make covenants with each other on their anniversary and to get married on their anniversary is super special to us.
As far as my wedding day goes, I think I'm most nervous about just my own anxiety and just letting my own anxiety get the best of me. I was talking to Johnny about this actually the other day at a wedding, where I am very easily stressed and very easily overwhelmed, especially when I want something to be perfect. And I think I'm most nervous about letting my anxiety get the best of me in the sense of, is everyone gonna be outside? Is everyone gonna be where they need to be? Are the dresses gonna match? And just worrying about things that are not important whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, I know that my wedding day is gonna be exactly what it's supposed to be. I know it's gonna be perfect because those things will happen. He's going to be my husband by the end of that day, and I'm gonna be sealed to him. And that's all I care about. But I'm most nervous about my anxiety just, choosing to make a guest appearance when I don't want it to, and making me distracted from what really matters.
10 years from now, I picture us having kids, having started our family already.
By that point, we'll have had all of our kids. Hopefully we'll have 3.
I'd like for us to know where we want to end up, at least for a longer period of time, where we want to live. I'd like to be done with school. I'd like for her to be done with school, and I'd like to be working as a PA and just providing for our family and really just establishing our life together.
Honestly, I don't really care where we end up. I don't really super care what life looks like as long as it's him and we have kids and we've built a family. I want to see us happy and healthy, and I want to see us in a family. I think in 10 years we'll have our forever home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we'll know where we want to end up, and we'll probably be there already. It'd be nice to have most, if not all, of our kids by then. It'd be cool to have some property or some real estate that we could invest in, just on the side.
We'll have vacation homes.
Yes.
Because who has vacation homes by 30?
Seriously though. It'd be nice to go to Greece.
Yes.
In 10 years.
Yes.
Just to go on a vacation or a trip.
Hopefully we will have made it out there by then.
Yeah.
You will have a Porsche 911
GTR3. That's a must. 3 motorcycles at least. A 4-wheeler or 2.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
I think something that's really interesting about the concept of falling in love is that you can't plan it. As I've said it before with my relationship with Johnny, is that it was not something that I was ever planning on. I always had hopes that I was going to marry my best friend, that I was going to be able to spend my life with someone that made me so incredibly happy, that took care of me and did all of these wonderful things. And something that I've noticed about Johnny over, the 14 years that we've known each other is that he has courted me from day one. He is always doing things to make me feel loved, and he's made it very clear to me that he's never going to stop doing that. That he's never going to stop trying to spoil me, that he's never going to stop showing me how much I mean to him and how much he loves me. And every time I see him do something with charity, every time I see him do something that's genuine, do something that's just out of the good character of his heart, I fall a little bit deeper. Because he's always growing, and he's always growing to become a better person. And I know every single time I see him with one of our kids, I'm gonna fall a little bit harder, because I'm getting to watch him succeed and fulfill his dreams and to become this person that I know Heavenly Father knows he can be. And I can't wait to see who he is that day.
Something that's super important to our relationship is just all of the little things. We love doing the dishes together, making dinner together, watching movies together. And in order to keep falling in love, I think one of the most important things for us is just going to be continuing to do all the little things together. It's going to be great when we are married and living together, and we will spend all the time together. We'll get to do everything together. And I think that in and of itself, just our dynamic and our relationship, that's going to make it perfect. That's what's going to make it feel like home.
It's hard to nail down like my favorite way that he loves me, because he just does it so well. I've said it before, he is an all-in person. He doesn't half anything. He's in it. And it's so apparent in the way that he treats me. I was on the phone with a friend earlier today and we were talking about it, and he is obsessed with me. And I know it. The way that he looks at me, I was getting ready earlier for this and he was just staring. And I catch him in these little moments, but it's so real. I know that he's loved me since we were kids. I knew that he loved me when we were kids, and I know that he loves me now, and I know that he will love me through the eternities.
When Ceterea looks and smiles at me, the only way I can describe that feeling is I'm not alone anymore. That's been something I've struggled with a lot throughout my life, especially when she left on her mission. And that hopelessness that I talked about earlier was one of the most difficult things I think I've ever had to face in my entire life. And the uncertainty of knowing if things were going to work out between us, or knowing what happens next, or if there's even a next step or two. She's so comforting, and she makes me feel like I'm at home. Even though we're not even married yet, I feel like we're married, and I feel like we've been married for years. She's literally my better half. And I can't imagine spending my life for eternity with anybody else, because she's the only one that makes me feel truly loved. She's the only one that's ever fixed my life. She's the only one that I trust completely and wholeheartedly. And she's the only person that I've ever wanted to be with and that I've ever truly loved.
It's really funny because Johnny's smile has never changed. And so when he sits and laughs or grins at me, it's the same face that I've known my whole life. And it's that reminder of what I noticed initially, of just genuine eyes, genuine loving eyes. And it's when he laughs, his laugh is so crazy contagious. And when he smiles, it's so crazy contagious because his whole face scrunches up. And it's so cute and so sweet and it's so real. Like you can't fake it. And you can see it in pictures. Like when he's smiling for a picture versus when he's like genuinely smiling, there is a difference and he just shines. You can see it in his eyes and it's just, like I just feel so genuinely joyous. Like that's the only word that I can put to it, is just joy, because he just exudes light when he's happy, and he's always happy. Like I've seen him in his down days, I've seen him when it's hard, but he understands what joy is and what really brings joy, and he exudes that. He just radiates light, and especially when he's smiling, it's just, he lights up a room.
Ceterea, if I could promise anything, I promise that there will never be a dull moment. There's never going to be a single day that goes by where you will wonder if you made the right choice or not. Loving you is the only thing that I've ever been 100% sure I want to do. I've wondered a lot of things in my life, and this is the one thing that I can confidently say that I'm going to give 110% to every single day. Whether that looks like a lot, or whether there are hard days where it might not seem as much, but I promise I'll give you everything.
I promise that I'm always gonna put you first, you and our family, and making sure that our relationship is always sacred. I don't ever wanna let that fall by the wayside of everything else that's happening, because I know that life is gonna get crazy, and I know that work is gonna be busy and all of the things. but I promise that you're always going to be my top priority. I'm never, ever going to treat you less than you deserve. And I'm never going to let you feel less than you are. I'm always going to make sure that you know just how precious you are to me. And I'm going to make that my highest priority, to make sure that you know that you are what my world revolves around. And you are everything good in my life, and you're the reason why I want to be the best that I can be. I'm never gonna let other things overshadow how important your presence in my life is. I think something that's pretty like us is, while we were emailing back and forth when I was on my mission, there was a lot of like, both of us were on the same page, but like completely different books. Like, we were both trying to do the same thing for the other person, but at the same time, like, we were both doing a really bad job of it because neither of us knew how to communicate. And so it was like, both of us were trying to convince ourselves that we didn't like the other person because it sucked to like each other, because we were both under the impression that it wasn't gonna work. But we were both like still trying to take care of each other. So it was like, we were still saying I love you. We were still doing like all these things to try and take care of one another. But it was like, we were just like emotionally ricocheting off of each other, and it was very chaotic.
Yeah, it was a wild time. That does make me think about when we were both, like when she was on her mission, I was here at home. I used to make these little videos for her of just like, I put together a desk when I first moved to Cedar, and I would do like these funny little like jump cuts and stuff.
He made vlogs.
I would iMovie the heck out of it. And it was phenomenal. Like, she would rate it. She would like react over Facebook Messenger when I would send them. And that was a lot of fun. We did that a fair amount of times. I did that. I like would make food, and she would just like watch these little videos, and we did voice recordings back and forth. We did those pretty much every week. Mm-hmm. I think I did a voice memo almost every week, and we would just talk, and that's just very much us. I mean, we always have stuff to talk about.
He would send me these like 35-minute voice recordings during the week.
They weren't that long.
Yes, they were.
There's no way.
There was a couple of them. No. They were long. Maybe not 35 minutes, but they were long. He'd send me these, and I'd sit and I'd listen to him out loud as my companions all like got to know him through these voice recordings, but I'd sit and talk back to them.
Yes, that's
my
very
companions
us.
would talk back to them too. Mm-hmm. And so I would just have like one-sided conversations. But we had letters that we'd write back and forth, and we had this competition of who could write the most pages.
Yeah.
I think by the time that we like gave up on that, it was like 11 page.
It was 12.
Oh, that's right.
12 pages. Yeah.
He won. But the 12th page was a hand turkey, so I don't think that counts.
She still has it.
I do still have the hand turkey. Dream goal that we have is serving a mission together.
Yeah. Yep. That's a huge one. We've talked a lot about that, actually, just because my mission was only 9 months long. It'd be so cool to go and to get to have the experience to go and serve a full mission with my eternal companion. The one that I did pick.
The companion that's don't drive us nuts.
Yes. Yeah.
But also just like having a family and having kids, and just finding success in a career that we both enjoy.
Yeah.
Being able to see like professional dreams come to fruition and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
Like traveling is a big one.
Yeah.
And being able to like experience a lot of different things. We've talked about Hawaii. We've talked about Greece.
Yeah, just like a European trip would be awesome to go and hit a ton of countries over there.
Backpacking.
Backpacking would be
We
fun.
want to like be as outdoorsy as we can. I love climbing, and so we've been getting him into climbing.
Yeah.
So it'd be really cool to go and like backpack through Yosemite and just climb our way through Yosemite.
Yeah.
I'd also love to go to Banff in
Where's
Canada.
that? In Canada?
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Oh, speaking
We could
of
go climb in
Canada,
there.
we have talked about going and seeing like the Northern Lights up in like Alaska or something like that. That is actually a dream goal that we talked about. We thought about doing that for the honeymoon, and we were like, maybe another trip. That one would be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be so fun.
I think for me, when I think of what home is, I think of just wherever we are together, because it's our parents' house isn't home anymore, and it wasn't when he was in Cedar and I'd go home or like go see my parents, and it wasn't Rexburg because he wasn't here But then when we'd go to our parents' houses and we'd both be there, then it was home. And now Rexburg is home. And it's wherever being with him is.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like a big part of that too is it's gonna feel even more like home here with you, just because once we are like married and moved in together, we're not gonna be coming home, and there's gonna be roommates that are there staying up till 2 a.m, eating in the kitchen in the dark. You know, the only people that are gonna be up eating in the dark, probably us.
Hopefully us.
Yeah, hopefully
Nobody
there's
else
nobody
should
else
be
there.
there.
That'd be bad. Unless it's like our littles. We might have littles.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like where we are together, knowing it's like it's our controlled environment. It's where we live. It's not where anybody else lives. It's not a shared space with anyone else.
Yeah.
I just get to share it with you. And that's what's going to make it home. I think one of the biggest surprises for our story, for like our kids, future grandkids, is the fact that she turned me down twice. But third time's the charm. Ask her that. He'll tell you.
He won't ever let it down.
He never lets you live that one down. But it's the fact that if you don't give up, persistence is key.
Perseverance is key.
Yep.
Yep.
And the Lord makes it all work out, even when you don't think it will.
I think just the most surprising thing is that it was something that took place over 14 years, and that we really did live a fairy tale. Like it's not. I'm like, I don't know what movie set I've been living on for the last 21 years of my life, but I'm not complaining. But like it's the way that everything panned out really is just proof that miracles do exist, that magic is real, honestly, and that you don't like that there are really good things in store, and that there's a lot more to things than what meets the eye.
Yeah. Just to piggyback off of that, I mean, not just magic that's real, but that the Lord's in the details. Like, if you don't have a testimony that Heavenly Father's in the details, lean on our testimony. That's what this is. We're only here because of Him. He's been the one pulling the strings since day one.
Okay, if our love story, just existence, is a movie genre, it would be 90s rom-com.
Yeah.
Like Hank Smith, Meg Ryan. Hank Smith.
Tom
Hanks.
I'm pretty sure he's not an actor.
Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan.
Great guy,
oh my
though.
gosh.
Never met him, but he seems like a great guy. I was gonna say pretty similar to that. If you've ever seen Fall Guy, which we haven't seen, you haven't seen, I've seen it. That's us. That's literally us.
No, I need to watch it.
Yeah, we will.
But yeah.
No, I agree. It's a rom-com for sure. Chick flick. With how fancy the story is that we have, it's a pretty bougie story.
Yeah.
Chick flick for sure.
I want us in 30 years to just remember not to lose this. Not to lose the excitement and the magic of where we are in life right now. Because right now we're in the countdown of getting ready to start eternity. And we'll be 30 years into eternity. And I want us to look back on now and know that it's only gotten better. And that I don't want the concept of the good old days. I don't want, to look back and be like, oh, I wish we could go back to when we were in our 20s, but I want us to be in a place where we're looking at now and realizing, wow, it's really only gotten better.
Yeah.
It's only gotten more precious.
Yeah. No, I agree. I shared a piece of advice like that I wish I could have told myself, just because of how hard it has been sometimes. Not being in a relationship and not wanting that, but just because there's a lot of times where it's, especially while you're on your mission, where it was really hard for me. Where it was hard to keep trying to pull through and just seeing how well she was doing and wanting to be there. But I would just give us the advice of don't give up. Don't give up. We've made it work so far. We've done long distance for 2 years pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the hardest things I think we've ever had to do together, at least for that long of a period of time. If we can do that, we can we can make anything work. No, there's no sense in giving up now, because the Lord's helped us make it to this point. He'll help us through the rest.
Amen.